I've just had the privilege of sitting with Wala Truscott, who is a sex therapist, an intimacy coach, and an all-round awesome human. You know, sometimes in relationships, sex and intimacy gets a little, shall we say, challenging. And what I wanted in this conversation was for us to just get back to basics, because actually sex and intimacy is a basic conversation, but it gets complicated, right? So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. I hope you'll learn from Wala. She is amazing and she has transformed a lot of couples and individuals' lives. So it might be your turn. Sit back, relax, and be open to the conversation.
Well, welcome, Wala, to 360 Woman. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome to my home. Welcome to this conversation. You and I are new friends.
We are.
We met via a mutual friend.
Over breakfast.
Over breakfast, yeah, we met. It was like a blind date. And it was awesome. And I knew straight away, I mean, I'd done some research anyway, and I'd found you online.
Research, is that a polite way of saying stalking?
Yeah, stalking. Okay, I was stalking because I knew that I wanted someone like you, and I didn't actually know anyone that I thought would fit. And so I was given your name, but I'd already seen you in my stalking talent. It all just like kind of aligned. And I think you and I were, you know, it was easy. It was an easy first date, wasn't it?
Correct.
It was an easy first date. So, obviously you are here because you are someone that is what we would say an expert in, sex and intimacy, working with individuals and couples. And which I think is amazing. And I think anyone that has been following me for the last 14 years, I'm really a big advocate for kick-ass, healthy relationships.
I'm glad you said the word kick-ass.
Right? And I think that this is a really big topic. And we've talked about the fact that maybe this is just part A, right? That we could go down so many different places. And I think what I'm really keen for today for our audience, who are going to be every age and stage and, you know, in their life and in relationships, out of relationships, wanting to be in one, all of those kind of things. I'm really keen, I guess, to get some of your wisdom and wealth of information around intimacy, right, and connection. Yeah. Because for me, doing couples therapy is one of my favorite things. I love, love, love it. And it's never ceases to amaze me that connection and communication is like the biggest breakdown of intimacy, right? And yet we don't really know how to rebuild that, where to start, what does it look like? Mm-hmm. So I guess just to kick off this conversation, can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, your expertise and what you find working with humans around this very broad topic of intimacy?
Okay, so I think it's probably a good way to start on how I got myself here. So I actually went through a breakup that I can only describe as not only abrupt, but brutal. Okay. So my relationship ended and I didn't even know I was in trouble. Wow. So what it did is it put me down the rabbit hole of going, hang on, how did I miss that cue?
Wow.
And so
just out of nowhere.
Completely out of nowhere. It was just like the rug was pulled out. What was it? Like, what was it that, what was so bad in our relationship that he just was like, bang, you're out. And he said, well, I didn't feel loved. But my brain went, hang on, I loved every hair on that man's body. So then that kind of like flicked a switch in me. How does the love that we have for a person not transfer to the person we're trying to love?
Yeah, how does it get so misaligned?
Yeah, and so that just put me down this really weird and wonderful rabbit hole of trying to investigate love, and then there was investigating sex, and then investigating relationships, and realising that all of those pieces are all connected but all completely separate. Yeah. And that's what I had a few light bulb moments where I realised that what makes a good relationship does not make good sex. Mm-hmm. And so we need to understand that they're all moving parts, and we need to understand the principles behind each element so that you can maintain the entire relationship rather than just trying to fix the entire relationship. So if you try and fix the entire relationship, it's like digging a swimming pool with a teaspoon.
I know. And I want couples that come into me and they've been married for 20 years and they're like, right, how many sessions is it going to take to solve our issues? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
And the things about long-term and short-term as well are completely different, the principles behind long-term, short-term.
Yeah.
Because if you really, really know each other, comfort kills passion.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're knowing each other for 5 minutes, you don't really know each other that well. So everything they do is really amazing.
Like that. Yeah.
Until they're annoying.
Yeah. Until that you're done with that.
It's not. That's how I became an expert. And because I have a very inquisitive mind, I just wanted, it has to make sense. If things don't make sense, then I will keep digging until I get my answers. And unfortunately / fortunately, before I was doing this, I worked in an accounting firm.
I know. When you told me that, I was like, of course you did. Of course you did.
So everything has to reconcile and everything has to balance. And if it doesn't, I need to be able to answer that. If I can't find 10 cents, there has to be a journal for it and there has to be a reason why I can't find that 10 cents. And that's why I'm so good at being able to bring logic to the brain, logic to the body and logic to the bedroom because I have a very pragmatic mind.
It's amazing. Amazing. So I guess, you see all walks of life, right? Are you finding similarly to me from a different version, we both do therapy, it just looks different, that connection is one of the most critical aspects of relationships that are hurting, or is it something else?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a step before counselling. So I want to be that person you come to before it falls apart. I want to be like the mechanic. You go and get your car serviced every 10,000 Ks because you know if you don't, things are going to fall apart. And you go to the dentist twice a year without question because you know that if you don't, it's not going to do your teeth.
Yeah.
I want to be that person where people come to because they value their relationship. I don't want to be that person where it's all falling apart and please come and use sticky tape and stick us back together like that. That's what I realised in our relationship. What was really missing is we don't have any steps before the counselling.
Yeah.
Right? So
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I want to bring the steps before the counselling, the maintenance that people can go and do and hang out with Wala for a couple of days and I'll bring you new information, then you can have new conversations.
Yeah.
Now I can't remember your original the question. What was the original question?
Around, do you find connection is one of the most critical things that goes a bit pear-shaped in relationships?
So there's 5 different elements of an intimate relationship that people need to consider. So there's the actual relationship itself, and that's built on sameness, agreeability and comfort and predictability. But the second element is what I call chemistry, and that's your ability to create erotic friction and sexual tension. And that's the playfulness and the flirtiness and the laughter and the things that you do as lovers, not people that are raising children in the same house. And what happens is comfort kills the flirty flirt.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have the flirty flirt, you're going to feel like best friends and roommates and not lovers. Because that's what you need in order to create the cheeky wink.
Yeah.
As you lose the cheeky winks, your best friend, you're basically living in a house with logistics.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have the third element is clarity. You have to know who you are as an individual person because relationships have been romanticized. You complete me.
Yep.
And all of these movie type sayings like, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. And so what it's done is it's given us a preconceived idea that we have to be meshed. And I say to people, if you are two together, you're going to suffer from what I call Bert and Ernie syndrome.
Bernie Erden syndrome.
Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street.
Bert and Ernie, right.
You never saw Bert without Ernie and you never saw Ernie without Bert. And when you did, it was weird. Yeah. And what was the first question that came out of everybody's mouths? Where's the other one?
Yeah.
Right? So we need to know who we are as an individual person.
Correct.
Because if you don't have your own individuality, who the hell are you attracted to?
Yeah. Exactly. And I think identity is something that I talk a lot about is our identity changes as well, right?
Correct.
And for couples, like I see a lot of couples that have been together a long time and what I call, they're in the trenches. They've got 2.3 kids. They've got mortgages. They've got a dog. They've got, they are on the treadmill in the trenches, right? And who they were prior versus who they are now are so different. And what I find is for women especially, that they haven't had time or haven't wanted to do the work on finding out who am I now.
Yeah. So I always explain to women that the day you got pregnant was the day you were no longer the priority. Mm. And so if you've been raising children for 20 years, it's 20 years since you've not had to consider other people before you considered yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't know how to be this lover or be in intimate relationship. You've just forgotten.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just so tired. You've got no capacity for it.
I call it coats. There's a coat in that closet.
Yeah.
It's just so far down the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to bring those coats so that when you open your closet, the coat of being your individual self is right there.
And it's interesting you say that because, a lot of the time when I work with the men in sessions, so often they'll say to me, Lisa, like, I'm not even on the radar, right? She is so wearing all these coats, right? And like, I'm a nobody. I'm maybe pick up the groceries when she wants and she doesn't see me anymore, and I think that's a really common experience because we are wearing all the coats, and the coat of womanhood, right, is, as you said, can't find it in the closet. And then the coat of in relationship and wife and partner, well, that's a different coat too, right?
Correct.
So, and I think it's really interesting because, I think there's this, what I would say, a social construct around, men don't need intimacy, right? They don't need.
Who said that?
Well, I agree, right? That's a lie, right? But there is this social construct that men are pretty chill, like as long as they're getting some sex and whatever. And I'm like, actually, the men that I work with, they are desperate to have their partners back. They are desperate for that cheeky wink again. They're desperate for their person, and I think sometimes, men get forgotten.
Yeah, and I think it's a misconception that men want sex when in actual fact they want touch.
Yeah.
And you can live without sex, but you can't live without being touched.
Yeah.
So, but quite often men only get touched through sex. They don't get the hugs and the cuddles, because I did a survey a few years ago and I was so blown away by one of these stats. And it was 50-50. It was actually 49% men, 51% women, so close enough.
Really solid.
Yep. It was 80% of men wish their partners touched them more, and 80% of women wish they could touch their partners without it leading to sex.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's being able to have a conversational, being able to create that intimacy of understanding that it is just touch and not feeling like it's contaminated.
Yeah.
But if you are touch starved.
If you've been listening and watching to this podcast and thinking, I really like what is going on here, there's a high chance that you're going to love my app. 360 Woman app was created for you and me, for the woman, the wife, the mother who just wants some personal growth, who wants to understand themselves, who wants to pursue themselves. So don't stop here at the podcast. Jump on over to 360 Woman, download the app, and I promise you won't be disappointed. The link is in the description of the podcast. Easy to find. I'll see you there.
Then as soon as your body, and we've got to stop saying men are these Neanderthal thugs that don't feel anything.
No,
because they are finally feeling
They are. They are, and they have real needs.
Correct.
And they've got real emotional needs. And I think they get ripped off because there's this blanket statement around, men just need sex or whatever. And it's just, from my experience for years, and you're saying the same, it's absolutely not true.
It's not true.
And I think that that's why this is such a really healthy conversation to have. From a female's perspective, because I'm sure they're the ones watching this, unless their hubbies are sneaking in. What would you say is, I guess, let's assume we've got a couple that have, just living logistically, as you said, right? What are the steps towards, I guess, reclaiming the relationship?
Okay. So every human has a love cup and a resentment cup. And you have to have conversations of understanding how to fill the love cup up. And so you are 100% responsible for your 50% of the love cup. And then you can talk to your partner about it. And your children cannot be the source of filling your love cup up. Because the burden is too big on them, that you get all the love you need from your children. They are their own individual people, and they shouldn't be the reason why, your love cup. So your love cup is filled by spending time with people who bring you joy, arts, crafts, things that bring relaxation to your body is what will fill your love cup up. And you need to have conversations around that. And we are praised for being selfless. And we are not necessarily punished, but it's not looked upon well to be selfish. Right? But it's just as difficult to live with someone who's selfless as it is to live with someone who's selfish. They're actually the same.
Okay, let's say that again. So it's just as difficult to live with someone who's selfless as it is to live with someone who's selfish.
Yes, because they get stuck in their story that I'm the person who does this, I'm the person who does that. Yeah, correct. And quite often you're doing things that no one's asked you to do. And you're putting that pressure on yourself because you think, or you're claiming the fact that I do this is my story, this is what I do. But if you actually take a look around, quite often people don't want you to do it anyway.
No one asked you.
Right?
No, but we're banging around and, making a lot of noise to say, listen, I'm doing all of this
stuff. And you have to show gratitude for everything that I'm doing for you, but no one asked you to do it.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it?
And then you're actually filling your own resentment cup up yourself by doing things and expecting some sort of gratitude response or reward or some sort of acknowledgement for what you do, when in actual fact you need to be able to ask yourself, who asked me to do that? And will the family be fine if I don't do it? Usually it is. No one cares if your cushions aren't.
Okay. All right, that's in my cup. My husband will, I told you about the cushions. But it's true, right? And it is true. And sometimes we spend so much time on those things that we think, are our obligation, that we miss out on the moments.
So the question originally was, how do we get that connection and intimacy back? And so what we need to understand is the polarization of our bodies. So we have what I call a thinking body. That's productivity, to-do lists, get shit done, ding-dong, ping-pong, got to go to work, have we got our full, and have we fed the dog? Right. So that's your thinking body from your what I call your heart up. And then your pleasure body is from your heart down. So that's laughter, relaxation, non-structured and non-linear activity. It's going for a walk on the beach. It's playing with your dog. It's doing things where there's no outcome attached to it. So what happens in long-term relationship is husband comes home after being in structure all day. Wifey comes home from being in structure all day, and you are no longer polarized. So you have two thinking bodies trying to connect. So then you got two thinking bodies trying to connect, which are not polarizing. You need one thinking body and one pleasure body. Right. So that's why we have the clashing of I'm not being seen, heard, and valued. And the thing about intimacy is we need to understand what that is for people. Intimacy, eroticism, and sexuality are all completely different. And we just mush it all together.
And I find a lot of, very basically, people think when I use the word intimacy, it's sex. Right? And I'm like,
you could be intimate with, this is going to be, don't cut this, but I was literally intimate with a 10-year-old boy at IGA the other day when he was $2 short, and his mum had clearly sent him into a supermarket. He's $2 short. He's freaking out. And I've looked at him, I said, mate, what do you need? He goes, I need $2. Right? So I give this little boy $2, and he was so thankful. That's actually considered an intimate moment. Because he's needing some sort of be seen, heard, and
it's a generosity.
Attention. And it was given to him, and he was thankful. And I was showing generosity. So that's between me and him. No sexuality, no nudity, no nothing. That's intimacy.
I agree. And I think there's something really powerful about that, because I often describe it as intimacy is being seen, right, and seeing.
Yeah, correct.
It is being heard and hearing.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of couples, I'm not sure how, in your world, but for a lot of couples in my world, they have not made the time to see or hear in probably decades.
Correct.
Right? And that's the tragedy, right? And we all know that we're living in a time where, we're on the treadmill and it's just go, 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 go. But I think, when are we going to stop? Right? Because, how you describe, the thinking and the pleasure, we know all of that, and yet we don't do.
Well, we don't. We can measure productivity. You can't measure pleasure. So it's dismissed or not seen as valuable, because it's the things that we need to actually get into our pleasure body is considered lazy and not productive.
Indulgent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you're wasting your time. But we're not valuing our bodies. We only value what we can see. So that's money, cars, houses, clean houses, all the rest of it. We can see that, so we value that, and then we don't realize it makes our body so tense.
Yeah.
Then that changes how we communicate with one another. When you come from a really relaxed body, you talk in a relaxed state.
So different.
You
You're not
talk
hypervigilant.
Softly, compassionately. But if you're stuck in your head, you know when a woman's stuck in her head, because she speaks like la, la, la,
yeah.
She's winding up, and you can literally see the cogs are turning, and she's so far removed from her body that she'll talk sharply because she's trying to be heard from a place of tense and stress.
And that's when you hear men especially talking about the nagging wife. And I'm like, when you hear that voice go up, buddy, that's when you need to listen, right? Because you're not hearing what she's really trying to say.
Yeah.
And she also needs to learn to speak and talk and communicate what she really wants, but don't just blow it off as nagging, right? Yeah. There's a real message there. And again, that's about the intimacy of, I know even for me and my husband, we've been married nearly 20 years, and unlucky for him, married to a therapist. So lots of conversation, right? But I'm like, I know, right? Yeah, he'll like you. He'll be like, yeah, she was right. But, it's like, when you hear me use this language, I'm telling you now I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I can't tell you that. And I'm going to learn to try and be better. And with him as well, when you see me or when you say that word. But that's a conversation that takes courage. And it's a conversation that takes two individuals to have done the work to be able to even have that conversation.
So I say to people, if you see your partner communicating in a way that is not their natural disposition, you have an absolute opportunity to love them.
Yeah.
Right? So in my experience, when someone's speaking, from a place of stress, it's usually one of two things. It's a cry for help or an act of love. And so I'll explain what that is. And I always remember my mother. My mother would be saying things like, pick your bloody shoes up. And I'd be like, calm down. They're just shoes.
Yeah.
They were there yesterday. You didn't have a problem with it yesterday. But what she's actually saying is,
I hope you're really enjoying the content that you're listening to and watching today. If you are loving this podcast, I need your help. Please like and subscribe and share this with anyone and everyone that you think will really benefit from this. This will help me grow the podcast for content, for guests, and for lots of other things that I have planned. Keep enjoying.
My resentment cup is full. I need some help, and I want you to do all of these things. But she will speak to me in a way from a place of stress, and then it's like,
I know.
Yeah.
And we've got our boxing gloves on already, right? Because it's that defense mode. Yeah.
And then we're just like, and then we blame her. I'll blame my mum, like, what's wrong with you?
Go down. Yeah.
But I'm not, at that age, I wasn't able to see what she was carrying.
No.
And then the act of love is, if I saw a child walking out on the road and the car was coming, I wouldn't even care whose child that was. I would rip that kid's arm
out of its socket, probably.
Yeah. I would break that kid's arm from a place of love.
Yeah.
This is what has to happen.
Yeah.
That's not my normal disposition, but my love for that child that's not even mine, I would act in a way that is not not normal for me, because my love for that child not to be hurt would do something out of character.
Yeah.
So it's either a cry for help or an act of love.
That.
And you have an opportunity to be able to take a snapshot of, hang on a minute, I'm not going to respond or react to this unusual behavior. I'm going to do a powerful pause. I'm going to do a snapshot of what's actually going on here, and I'm going to step forward into the storm and love my partner.
Yeah, and lean in.
Lean in.
Lean in. And it's really hard to love in the ugly.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's so hard. And it's hard to love someone who's being aggressive or like unkind, but that leaning in. And I guess it goes back to your resentment cup, right? So, you know, a couple can have an interaction and the woman can start, you know, doing that, right? Increasing the volume and increasing the pitch. But the husband's got resentment of, you know, the past month or this is what you always do. And so it's really difficult to lean in.
Yeah.
Right?
As long as it's not abusive.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
If it's just a cry for help or an act of love, lean in, and just notice the emotion, name it. Babe,
yeah,
mate, you look a bit frustrated.
Yeah, what's going
for you?
Yeah,
rather than you always act like this and you're nagging. But we also have to drop in the hormonal systems as well here. So we're running on two totally different systems.
Yeah.
So it just
it's impactful.
It definitely impacts where we're at, energy levels and communication levels as well. So
yeah.
Tell
me, what would you? I guess, you know, I'm just so conscious that there's so many varying humans probably watching us today. Some that might have just come out of a really long-term relationship and a marriage, and like you have been blindsided and are literally picking up the pieces. What would you say to them? And I guess this is a leading question, right? And I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I'm cool with that, right?
Dance.
Yeah, we can dance. What I am seeing more and more over the last few years is this space of coming out of significant relationships, being in a lot of grief and a lot of pain, right? And the real alive space of, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go straight onto a dating app to make myself feel better, right? And I've seen all versions go. Well, some people meet the love of their life after 5 days of, you know, like there's every story under the sun, right? So it's not that I'm judging the act, but it's just more around what do you believe is the impact of heartbreak, right, into the next relationship if we don't do the healing?
Okay, so like all relationships, it's never a one-size-fits-all. So some people will have been considering ending that relationship for quite some time.
Yeah.
And they've actually done their healing in a relationship.
Yeah, I know.
And they've got their life prepared, and they've already fantasized about tapping out. So, and for that person, they could probably meet someone quite quickly, and that's fine. But for someone who's had the rug, well, I call it king hair, or the rug's been ripped out, yeah, you definitely need. It's the deepest grief. And for me and my story, death would have been easier.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So because then when you are rejected per se in an intimate relationship, especially long term, you might see that person at the plaza or a cafe. So it's like seeing a ghost.
Yeah, right. They're not dead.
Yeah, that's right. So a death would have been easier to process.
And even for people that are still having to co-parent, right?
Oh, that's even
like that's next level, right?
But you have to love your children more than you hate your ex-partner for whatever they did. You have to be able to focus on those children and do what's best for them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the actual healing of your heart, a teacher once said to me, and I was so mad at her when she said this, I was like, I had steam coming out of my ears. And at the time, I responded and reacted in a way that probably wasn't something I was proud of.
Right.
But she said to me, you need to see your heart as a beautifully broken heart. And I just looked at her.
Reacted to that.
I was like horrified that she would think that this pain and this
was beautiful.
I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Wow.
But what the message was out of that is, I will never treat somebody else's heart the way that mine was. So that's why it's a beautifully broken heart, because I will always speak from a place of compassion. I speak from lived experience. This is why I don't talk shit. And this is why I tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And this is why I can't be a counsellor or a therapist.
I think you'd be amazing. I think you'd be amazing. But I love that bit because, the grief that I see in people is like, I'm never going to be the same, Lisa. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to get over this, right? And you and I both know that people do get through it. I'm not sure what get over it means, to be honest, right? But they'll never see life the way they saw it before. And that can be a beautiful thing. But in the moment,
oh, no.
And I think it's also really difficult when there's a changing of the guards in the sense of, their ex has moved on with someone really quickly and they're going, like, what is that? How, like, what? I can't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
Right?
That was me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about, I guess, the impact for you but also what does it even mean? Because I often say them, but it doesn't mean that he or she is doing well, right? It doesn't, right? It doesn't. It just means that they've chosen a different path.
Yeah.
And yours is like for the person who's snot bubble crying in bed eating burgers, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean that they are the understudy of their moving through.
Yeah. So you need really good support.
Mm-hmm.
You need friends and you need therapy and you just really need to like absorb all of that love from people that are around you because you'll want to push them away because you won't understand yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'll be like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what life's about. But it's the people who love you that will fill you back up. Mm. And we need to also remember that, it takes time, right? But I'm going to say something that I didn't do that I kind of wished I did do.
Okay.
I probably should have started dating a lot earlier than I did because I was so deeply hurt that I didn't trust anybody.
Okay.
And I'm like, I hate men.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
assholes.
Yeah, right.
And I should have been able to soften towards that, but my body, I didn't understand my body. So learning about intimacy and relationships, when I learned about the somatic, the actual body, I was then able to realize that quite often my body response was not matching my logical one.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I couldn't process that at the time because my body would have such a visceral reaction to people showing interest in me or wanting to date me. And I was like,
fear, right?
Oh, 100%.
100% fear. And and it's interesting you bring that up because, even in my personal life with friends and stuff, there's some that are like, ready to get back into dating, and then others that are a decade gone, right? And just never going to do it again. And it's that rigid response that makes me sad because I think that it's okay if you make a choice not to ever be in a relationship again, but not if it's out of the cracked places. Yeah.
So if you have a good group of people around you that are like your support network, it's like a cushion. Right. So I always, whenever any of my friends or clients or someone go, oh, this is so scary, I'm like, you know what? If it goes great, I'll be the first one pumping and cheering you.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, I'll be here to catch you.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. So when you know someone's there to catch you, then you're more likely to go and, dabble.
Correct.
But if you think you're the Lone Ranger or bloody Braveheart with half your face painted blue and
ready on white horse,
you're going to freak the hell out. And you'd rather, make popcorn and watch trash TV because it's safer.
Yeah.
You need the community.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes a lot of time community is amazing, but sometimes community, we get it wrong. Right?
Oh, yes.
And we get it wrong in the way we speak, and when we have these narratives around all men are jerks, right? Oh, they all cheat, they all do this, they all do that, and it's like, stop the train. That's actually not true at all. Yeah. And to feed that in someone who's had that experience is unhelpful.
Correct. And you know what will change your mind? Talk to them properly.
I say all the time, if you could come and sit and listen to the men who, there are good men. There are great men.
I have more men crying in my rooms than I
do women.
Well, not necessarily do women, but I have a lot more men crying in my rooms than what women would admit to. Oh, and because they're desperate to fix it and they don't know how to, and they're trying so hard and it's not landing, and it just breaks my heart. Yeah, they're definitely trying.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same in mine. I am constantly, I guess, educated by men around what their needs and desires are, and the grief that they feel is massive.
Yeah, they feel everything we feel,
yeah.
just differently, and they are restricted on how they can express it.
Yeah.
So if they're angry, they're violent.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're vulnerable, they're a sook or a wimp.
Mm-hmm.
So bit of a double bind.
Yeah. I just want to circle back, if I can, to the couple that are housemates, right? Running the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just the couple.
Stuck on rinse and repeat.
Yeah, right. Just the couple. Maybe they've got no kids. Maybe they've got 3 dogs. Yeah. Maybe they're dating and they've only been together for just the couple that are like, something's not quite right. We've lost our spark. We've lost all the things. I understand the 2 cups, which I love.
Yeah.
What are some practical, I guess, solutions, tools, conversations that you would suggest to people at the starting line of, we want to turn the ship, we want to pivot, and we want a kick-ass relationship? Where do we start?
So I always have to, when I talk to them, because I originally started telling you about the 5 elements, but I think I only got to 3.
Oh, I love that. Let's go back to that
so because it was clarity, which is knowing who you are as an individual person. The 4th one is connection.
Yep.
And that's sex, touch, affection, and your body, right? And then the 5th one, which is the answer to your question, is conflict.
Oh, that was on my list too. Great. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Conflict.
So there's a massive difference between conflict and arguing.
Yeah.
Arguing is this, and the conversation never leaves. It's just, we're like, oh my God, are we talking about this again? And the eyes roll, and you're like, what the?
Yeah, here we go.
And you're like, why are we talking about this again? And the reason why this happens is because you can't pinpoint the problem, right? So if you can't pinpoint the problem, you will never, ever, ever pinpoint the solution. And then you'll be stuck on the round. Am I allowed to drop the F-bomb? It's like you get stuck on the roundabout of what the fuck? What the fuck are we talking about? What the fuck is going on? And you just keep going around and around, right? Yeah. So conflict is owning that, hey, there's something I need.
Yeah.
There's something that's missing for me. It's not a projection of you.
Yeah.
It's something I need to fill my love cup. And will you help me?
Love that.
Right? So when couples have those conversations, you're asking for support. You're asking to be loved, and you're asking to be seen and heard and valued. You're asking for your needs to be seen, heard and valued.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, well, that means I'm not good enough, and then I take your need as a projection of myself, and we
go around the mulberry bush again. I know.
Stuck on that roundabout again. So how couples stay fresh is to see conflict as an opportunity to love them.
Yeah, right. I love that. Because, a lot of couples that I speak to, they come in quite boldly and proudly. We never argue.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And I'm like, what? Well, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, just not speaking? Like, have you got different wings of the house? Like, what is... I'm like, but it's this proud, like, oh, we've got it all together. And I'm like, I don't believe you.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't believe you. And if that's the case, then there's something really wrong.
Correct.
Like, there is something fundamentally wrong. And what it tells us is you don't like conflict.
Correct.
Right? And you don't have the tools to manage yourself.
Yeah.
And you are missing out on such a big piece of the pie because this relationship could be better.
Okay. So the couples that feel like roommates and housemates, or what is it? Housemates or roommates or housemates.
I don't know.
I don't know. Best friends.
And there's nothing wrong with best friends, right?
There's nothing. Best friends are a good foundation of it, but you still need the lover.
Yeah.
Right? So you have 2 couples. You have the best friends and roommates. I call them cruise control. Oh, right? Okay, and they're going up the highway and they've pressed the button and they're just sitting back and they're just...
with their lattes.
And they're just cruising up the highway, right? That's fine. You'll end up at Murray Bridge. Great. Good. Right? Nothing wrong with Murray Bridge.
Nothing wrong with Murray Bridge. Sorry.
But then there's the couple that embraces conflict.
Yeah.
And they see a dirt road and they look at each other and they're like,
let's do it.
Do you want to?
I love that.
Right?
Yeah, I love that.
And I call it white knuckling it, right? So they're going, I love you enough to know that I got you, but let's go see what's down this conflict road. Yeah, let's go down the dirt track, and they're going to do snakies, and they're going to slide out, and they're going to fishtail it, but and they're going to be white knuckling it. Someone's holding the steering wheel going, Juice. The other one's holding the door handle, but they're doing it together, and they never know where that adventure is going to take them.
Yeah.
Now, what relationship would you prefer?
Oh,
cruise control?
No.
Or the snake?
No, I
give me a snake.
Yeah, correct.
So that's conflict.
Yeah.
There's a big sign there that says conflict, opportunity, adventure.
And the thing is, the conflict, like, it's almost like a science, isn't it, right? There is a pathway, a roadmap. Like, it's not the same for everyone, but there's a way to do it well. And I say to couples, you need to fight well. Right? We need to be able to do this really well. And often they're like, what? Are you meant to be telling me we need to stop? And I'm like, no, actually, because conflict creates growth and opportunity. And I guess it brings us back to the full circle around the cups, right? That if we are able to have those like deep root system conversations in a relationship, in a marriage, then resentment cup kind of gets poured out. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because we're like, oh, I really know what you need, or I'm filling the tank by this. And I think, just even talking about it today, it's about having the courage to go down that dirt track, right? Because if you haven't done it before, or if you've done it and it's gone badly and hasn't ended well and you've gone off a cliff, where, which happens, right? It's kind of like we're climbing up the embankment going, not doing that again.
Yeah.
Right?
So the only way you can go down the dirt road of conflict is if you feel safe.
Yeah.
And if there's no safety, you'll choose cruise control, which is fine, but it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just coasting along. Right? But the couples that can white knuckle it, they're the ones having better sex too.
Yeah.
Because cruise control is having, it's all right.
Yeah.
But adventure sex is going to be all the flavours, because you don't know what's going to happen at the end of that, whether it be...
And there's such vulnerability, right, around I'm trusting you at the wheel. I'm trusting you in the passenger seat. Let's go, right? You've got the roadmap. I don't know where I'm going. And so there's that level of vulnerability and security that comes with the unknown. Yeah. And it's so funny, isn't it? Because so many of us avoid the unknown.
Yeah, right. So that's a really good segue. Remember, I started at the beginning of the conversation where my partner said, I felt unloved.
Yeah.
That's the dirt road, right? So the dirt road, we don't actually know what love is. We think love is care. So if I do all these things for you, then you should feel loved by me, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's cathexis, which is my feelings towards you. Just because I love you so deeply does not make you feel loved. My emotional attachment towards you only actually benefits me, not you. Mm. Right? So that's another thing that I think people think, because I love you so much,
that's enough.
Then you should feel the love that I have for you. But what love is white knuckling it through somebody else's growth.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? And allowing or witnessing or supporting your partner to grow into the human and have the experiences they want, and you sit there and you're their biggest cheerleader.
Yeah. I love that beyond words, because one of the conversations I have, I feel like on repeat is to her or to him, it's like, you need to be their cheer squad, right? And you need to allow him or her to have their own identity and to have independence in this marriage and relationship, and to want them to grow and be better. And even if it doesn't make sense to you, it's like, I'm here. I got you. Like, tell me how it goes. I don't know what we're doing or what you're doing, but because men have needs, right? And I'm never going to, this is probably a bit random. My husband's a cyclist, right? And what that means is we're not just going out for an hour, like little getaway. That's like a whole half day, right? But I remember when I got pregnant with our son, saying to him, I promise you, when he comes, I'm not going to take that away from you. I want you to still have that, because I know that that's such a huge part of who you are. Mm-hmm. And why would I want to rob you of that? And anyway, that's happened and it's great. But the amount of times he'd say to me out in a ride with a bunch of people, oh my gosh, Lise, I just value the fact that you didn't ring me once. All the other guys had like 84 phone calls from their wives. Where are you? What right? And it's like, leave them alone.
Yeah.
Let them just be.
Yeah. Yeah. So love is just being the cyclist cheerleader. I'll cheer you like there's no tomorrow on the sideline. You'll never get me.
Yeah. I did for a few times and I'm like, I'm not a cyclist.
So just the love is your ability to see your partner and know that it's about them, not you, and you cheering and supporting them. So I also like really need people to understand the difference between permission and support. So if you do, like, we'll just take cyclists. Let's take guitar lessons. I say, Lisa, I want to learn the guitar.
Yep.
And you can go, okay, yeah, sure, you can do that. That's just permission.
Yeah.
But support is when you say, okay, well, what can I do?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, what can I do to help you learn the guitar?
Yeah.
And then we have a conversation. Okay, on Tuesday nights, I need you to take care of the kids' dinner and I need a guitar and can you help me this? And that's support. But when someone goes, yeah, right, you can do that.
Yeah.
You don't feel supported.
No, and that permission, that's a really good point because that permission, it comes out in so many different tones, right?
Yeah.
And just one words and you're like, they're grown. What?
But even
sorry, I was going to say you hear, oh, she's letting me do this. I'm like, sorry, what? What are we talking about? Or he's letting me do this. No, stop. That's not a healthy, intimate relationship, right?
No, but also the permission, people can often say things like, oh, and let them do that. And like there's a praise there. But if you haven't supported that person in that growth, then you're not the cheerleader. You've just opened the door. You haven't actually helped that person grow, change, or learn something new. So that's the love part. So with my partner, the why he felt unloved is because I showed no interest in anything he did. If he said, I want to go and do this, I'd be like, yeah, all right then.
Okay.
But then I would never ask any questions or support him. So he always felt alone in pursuing whatever he needed to pursue.
Yeah.
And he also, like, he would do things for me that he wanted for himself.
Yeah, okay.
And then I wouldn't respond and react in a way, and I'd be like,
yeah, I didn't
whatever.
Yeah.
So which came across as a really dismissive, and I didn't know how to ask the better questions in how to love him, right? So that's why he felt unloved by me, is because I didn't support him in his growth.
Yeah.
And so he felt unloved.
Yeah. Look, thank you for sharing that because I think people are going to really relate to that. And I guess, there's two sides to it. Is to the person who has recently got out of a relationship and is trying to work out what happened, the reflection and the doing the, like, rolling your sleeves up and going, I need to understand why, right? And then also for the people that are within a relationship that's not going so great, to actually sit down and have the courage to ask those questions, right? I think it's about courage and it's about valuing, right? Because we invest in what we value. Right. And I think, hopefully today's conversation has inspired at least someone, right, to go, we just want the one, right? I'm all about, if we can inspire one person, that's awesome. But inspire them to go, I need to sit down with my husband. I need to sit down with my partner. We need a chat.
Yeah. If you are going to have a really deep conversation, make sure you either stand alongside of each other or have your bodies touching in some way. It's really hard to get pissed off with someone who you're holding hands with. Because when you're mad, what's the first thing you do? You rip your hand away. So always create some sort of body connection, whether your legs are touching or you're holding hands or you're alongside of each other, so it's not more of a confrontation.
I remember I had one couple who they were in a dark place, and I said to them in a session, I was like, I want to do something different. And I said exactly that. We need to stand up and touch or face each other. And they were like, we can't do any of that. But and he said, but what I can do is I can touch back to back, right?
Yeah.
And so they stood back to back. And I was like, in the moment, I was like, oh, it's not ideal. But then I was like, actually, you know what? It's still connection. But it was wild.
They probably won't do this in session, but this is how I encourage really, really deep conversations like, oh, my heart's hurting, is I can't believe I'm going to share this, but anyway, I say, get in bed, and he lays down like this, shirt off. She lays on his back, shirt off, and then talk with your bodies not facing each other, and the vibration of your body,
skin,
skin on skin, your hearts are actually aligned because your hearts are on the same side of your body, and have a conversation skin on skin. And it's really hard to get mad when someone's boobs are on your back.
Well, thanks for tips. That won't be in my sessions. However, the idea,
I said not in
but I think it's a really good point, right? That
somatically, you got to touch.
You got to touch. So, thank you so much for today. I am so inspired by what you do, and I still love the fact that you're an accountant by trade. I think that's wild. Obviously, people are going to be able to find you. There's links and everything, and I'm really hopeful that there's going to be people that are like, I need Wala. Let's go, right? Because
have a chat.
And probably like me, I think, it's like we don't have the answers for everyone's life, right? But we have some information.
Correct.
And I think you've got a wealth of information, and you've got the lived experience of like, I know what it's like, and to come out of it and through it, and then to be now in this space where you are supporting men and women to find that space, I think is incredible. So
they can design the relationship that best works for them, no one else.
Yeah, amazing.
Just them.
Amazing.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
If you made it to the end of this podcast, congratulations. And I'm so thankful. Make sure you put it in your diary. Every 2 weeks, an episode drops with great content, great humans, with great stories and information that hopefully can support you. If this podcast reminded you of someone in your life that absolutely needs to hear it, send them the link. They'll thank you later.